All right, everybody, I recently done a video on the FNX Tactical 45 where I did a 1,000-round follow-up, and I had mentioned that I had had some problems about 8 times out of those 1,000, maybe 10. Not exactly sure how many, but 8 or 10 times. And actually the very last round, getting out to 1,000, I had that spent casing that stuck straight up out of the and got caught in the slide essentially. And I mentioned that I didn't know why that was. And I thought maybe it had something to do with underpowered ammunition. I said maybe the flat nose, it wasn't necessarily that the ammo was flat nose, but rather that it was a particular brand. I actually said it was a Blazer Brass, but it wasn't. It actually was Winchester USA, the red box flat nose. And that seemed to be the one that it done it the most with. Although there were other types of range ammunition that it done it with, I would say 7 out of the 10 or so times it was with that particular one. It just happened to be flat nose, right? So I got to thinking about it when I got home, because as I mentioned, I do use this a lot. It's on the nightstand in the truck with me sometimes. Got my new optic up here. I did not realize how much of a storm it would stir up in the comment section. And with people saying, oh, they've not had any problems with theirs, theirs has been flawless, theirs is this, theirs is that, yada, yada, yada. So I started doing some research, found a lot of stuff online, Reddit, different forums, stuff like that. So people had actually had that problem. It wasn't just me, and your gun is no more awesome than my gun, and I'm not trashing either one of them, okay? It's not what this is about, because I like this gun a lot. But what I found out is that it's very, very heavily sprung, which is something I already knew. And the reason that I believe that some people had problem with mounting the SRO up here was simply because of how this gun, and I've always, if you go back and watch my videos on this particular firearm, you'll see how I talk about how it just kind of lobs the rounds off to the side. Like, I mean, literally, I've never shot a gun, I don't believe, that literally just kind of soft tossed them out of the side. And it never dawned on me why that was until after that video and people commenting in the comment section, which really helped me out a lot. And that's why I like and enjoy interacting with you guys in the comment section, as long as you keep it respectable and you're not a troll, basically. And everybody was pretty cordial about everything. But I found out that it is super heavily sprung. Now, I couldn't get anything from FN. I tried. And the best I can come up with from what seemed to be some pretty, reputable places was anywhere from 19 to 22 pounds. I'm not really sure which, okay, which is pretty heavy. And I think the reason for that is because it does have the threaded barrel, and you are able to suppress this. So of course, in doing that, you're going to need the stiffer springs. So I think they compensated for that, because it's always performed way better with my range ammo, my plus P, my carry ammo, my plus P, than it has with the range ammo. So in doing that and researching that, what I found out is that the Glock 17 Gen 1, 2, and 3 springs will work fine in this firearm. Right now I have the factory spring in here. I have my wife over here, and I'm going to get her to put some marks on the ground to the right of me where most of these land. We're kind of going to take an average, if you will, where most of these rounds land here on the ground. And then I'm going to put the Glock 17 spring in there, which is 17 pound. I know that for sure. And I'm going to see if with the lighter spring, if it will, if it'll throw it further, and see if that will fix my issue, if you will. So I'm gonna just shoot, I don't know, I'm gonna probably put 5 rounds downrange and see how that goes at first. So for me, that's pretty easy. I don't really have to take any measurements, because they're literally laying right beside of my foot. I don't know if that picks up on camera, but this gun has always done that. It literally looks as though while I'm shooting it that I could catch it on my forearm or my wrist if I was talented, right? I mean, they're literally laying right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change out the spring and to the Glock 17 spring. I'm going to have my wife to hand me the spring that's laying here on the tailgate. Never mind, I got it. So this is the Glock 17 spring. Not sure if that'll show up, but that's what that is. I'm taking out the spring for the factory spring for the FNX Tactical, and I'm putting in the Glock 17 spring. Now, all I did was put this in and took other people's word for it that it would work, and I racked it at home, you know, put some snap caps in there and racked it, made sure it would eject them and all that stuff. And it seems to work. Now, again, I didn't watch any videos where anyone used it. This was just forums that I was reading. So, you know, I hope everything goes well. But what I want to see is if it reacts differently, if it performs differently, if it throws the round further out away from me. And if it does, and it has no malfunctioning issues, that opens me up because I can get a Glock tungsten, Gen 1, 2, or 3, and I can get a tuning kit, and I can kind of, you know, play around with the spring weights and maybe have a better range experience without any type of malfunctions. So let's just see. Definitely throws it further. Well, way further. Yeah, my wife's saying, yeah, that threw them way further. I mean, I would say the difference in the distance that it threw it was a solid 3 to maybe 4 foot. I mean, it's that drastic. And I'm shocked by that. I mean, that's just, I really didn't know how that was going to work out. My hand to Almighty God, that's the first time I've shot this gun with the Glock 17 Gen 3 spring in there that I took out of my original Glock 17. It's the first time. And I'll tell you something else. I'm going to load up a magazine here while I'm talking. Well, I'm just going to put 3 in here. I'll tell you something else too, is that it was a noticeable difference in the muzzle rise. Now, I'm sure, you know, when I put I'm definitely going to put the factory spring back in there when I'm carrying my range ammunition. I mean, my carry ammunition, and because I'm sure it's going to need that stiffer spring, you know, whenever it's got that plus P ammunition in there. But let me pull this hammer back. But I want to concentrate on the muzzle rise because I'm very familiar with this gun. I've shot it a lot. I mean, it's not going to pick up on camera. I get that, but I can tell you that it makes this. I'm excited about the opportunity now to be able to come out to the range and switch out springs and have an option to do that, and even be able to tune it a little bit, and you know, maybe even when I finally get my 45 suppressor and I'm able to suppress this thing. Can't wait to do that. Definitely a huge noticeable difference. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to wrap up the video, of course, but I'm going to move the camera in front of me. I'm going to put the factory spring back in, right? I'm going to shoot, I don't know, 4 or 5 rounds, and then I'll put the Glock 17 spring back in, shoot 4 or 5 more, so that you can see right down in front of it how much further it's throwing the round with the Glock 17 spring in there. And I think that is the reason that I was having those 8 or 10 failures, and nothing to do with the gun. And I even said as much in the original video, so let's do that. So I have the factory spring in here, and I think the ammunition is the same. Well, what I know for sure is that the ammo is the same that I'll be shooting. I got 5 rounds loaded up in here, and again, this is the factory spring, so definitely slams down with more authority. So just gonna kind of, I hope this picks picks up on camera. I typically don't have luck with this type of thing. So the very first round I shot, literally, if this optic would not have been here, would have smacked me straight in the face. And then it looked like maybe, I couldn't hardly tell, but it looked like maybe one or possibly two went a little bit further than they did the first time, and then one or two more fell beside of me like they traditionally have. So I'm going to put the Glock 17 magazine in here. I'm gonna put 5 more rounds in here because I really want, because I can feel it, but I really want you guys to be able to see it so that you don't have to take my word for it. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I got 5 with the Glock 17 spring in here. So let's see if it throws it any further. Maybe straight forward like this, you can, trying to get my red dot to turn up a little bit. All right, so maybe straight forward you guys can better see the muzzle rise as well. Well, so those first 4 definitely were swinging way further to my right. I mean, I could see that just with my peripheral here, and my wife was saying when I got done, yeah, it was definitely throwing them further. But that very last one had one of those slap me in the face if the optic wasn't there situations. But either way, I can feel it. Again, I'm trying to focus on the target down there. I'm trying to focus on making sure you guys can see it in the camera. I'm just, again, my camera work is not, you know, theatrical. You know that about me. So, you know, I was trying my best for you guys to be able to see what I can feel, right? And so it made for a little bit of awkward shooting there. But either way, no question about it. I am convinced 100%, definitely throwing the rounds further. In that first opening of the video, it was probably a good 3 or 4 foot further, right? This time it seemed as though it was probably only about maybe 2.5, possibly 3 foot, and then that last one kind of come back at my face. But that's pretty common with bulk ammo, range ammo. Either way, Glock 17, 1, 2, or 3 spring will work in the FNX Tactical without a problem. No malfunctioning, lock back on the mag, all of that. I hope that helps someone out there that maybe wants some more options with their FNX Tactical. If you already knew that, well then move on, I guess. But thanks so much for watching. Make sure you know Jesus Christ is your Savior. As always, consider going over supporting me on Patreon, $5 a month. Catch me on Rumble as well. And as always, to God be the glory.